Let us master the strategy of factoring trinomials and solve them using the principle of ZPP. Enjoy the journey of learning. Thank you. I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. Let me thank all the viewers and subscribers for watching our videos, posting excellent comments and suggestions, joining our WhatsApp group, which is absolutely free, where you can post your questions and get solutions. I'm also making free videos for you, just as this one. Request comes from one of our student in USA, and the student wants to understand root how do we find the roots of equation by factoring and ZPP. So that term ZPP was new for me, which is zero product principle. Now it makes sense, right? Perfect. So we'll take up these six examples posted by one of our subscriber on the free math group, and let's look into the solution in details. You are most welcome to join. So basically, when we factor a quadratic equation, we actually get the roots, right? So, for example, the parabola shown here, wherever it crosses the x axis, those are the solutions of the equation, the zeros, or even the roots, or x intercepts. These are different names which we use for the same thing, solution of quadratic equation, when we are working in the domain of real numbers. Makes sense. Perfect. So now let's take solution of each question one by one and understand factoring techniques along with ZPP, zero product principle. Perfect. Here is the very first question for you, which is we are given x square minus 9x equals to minus 8. To factor the trinomial, we are going to bring all the terms to one side. That's the first step, right? So x square minus 9x plus 8 equals to 0. And now we are looking for a combination of product and sum. So we are looking for product. Let's say I use the terms P and Q. Product should be A times C, which in this case is equal to 8. And the sum of two numbers should be coefficient of x, which is minus 9. And clearly, to get minus 9, we should have two negative numbers to add up. And in this case, the two negative numbers are minus 8 and minus 1. So when you multiply them, you get plus 8. Makes sense. And therefore, you can now factor this, right? So once I factor, what do I get? I get x minus 8, right? Times x minus 1. So we have done the factoring. Well, those of you who are just beginning to learn factoring, they may split 9x into two terms, which is 8 and 1, both negative, right? And then factor it. Perfect. You can also watch my playlist with more examples. I'll provide you with a link to master factoring techniques. Perfect. So, well, we have now factored it. So, we have done the first part of factoring the quadratic equation. The second part is to find the equations. So, let's do that. To find the solution, right? So, to find the solution, what we are going to do here is we'll equate each term to 0. So, we have x minus 8 equals to 0. That gives you x equals to 8. And the other one is x minus 1. We'll equate it to 0. We get the second solution, which is x equals to 1. Now, this is called the ZPP, in short, zero product principle. Mainly, because how do you get a 0? When you multiply two numbers to get a 0, we could have them as zeros, right? So that is what it is, zero product principle. Anything multiplied by 0 will give you 0. So that gives you this particular term. I hope it makes sense. Let's move on and solve the others. So the next one here is x square equals to 40 plus 3x. Now, I like you to copy the questions and do it along with me. See if you can do much faster. Is that okay? I'm trying to explain also, so I'll take more time for sure. So we are again looking for product of two numbers to be minus 40 and the sum of the two numbers to be minus 3. So what could these numbers be? So 40 and 3, they are very close by, correct? Very close by. So 8 times 5 really works. Negative number has to be bigger because when you add, you have a negative number. So minus 8 and 5. And therefore, we can write this as x times x minus 8 times x plus 5 equals to 0, right? So two factors are there. We need to now find the solution. We'll equate them to 0, right? So equate x minus 8 to 0 and x plus 5 to 0. Get the solution. X equals to 8 and x equals to minus 5. You see, that is how you get quickly the solution for the equation. Let's take the third question. Perfect. I hope you are enjoying this journey of learning. Feel free to write your comment, share your views. In case you want to learn directly from me, you can always send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Perfect. Next example here. It is 6x squared plus 36 equals to 30x. Now we can bring all the terms together. So we get, and when you bring the terms together, write in proper order. That means increasing to decreasing, right? So minus 30x, increasing to decreasing, what? Powers of x, correct? Equals to 0. So you can first factor 6 itself, which is x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals to 0. Note the use of square brackets. 6 times. We're looking for a product of what? Again, I'll write down for you. Product of 6 and the sum of two numbers should be minus 5. So the numbers should be what? Minus 6 and plus 1, correct? So we get x minus 6 times x plus 1. Makes sense, right? Now see, using the ZPP, zero product principle, 6 cannot be 0, right? So the other two factors, which are x minus 6, we can equate them to 0. Perfect. And find the value of x. So we get x equals to 6 and x equals to minus 1. Makes sense. So that is the solution. So it is simple, right? Provided you follow properly the method. Okay, great. So we have the next question, 7x squared minus 11x minus 6 equals to 0. 7 times 6 is 42. So this is slightly complicated. We are trying to find product of two numbers which should be minus 42 and the sum should be minus 11. So, 6 times 7 is 42, but that doesn't really work, right? 6 times 7 doesn't work. So we can now think like this: 6 times 7 could have worked, but doesn't work. 6 has two factors, 2 and 3, right? We want 11, right? So 14 and 3 can work, correct? So the two numbers are 14 and 3, correct? 7 times 2 is 14 and then 3. Now, if I use 14 and 3, since I want sum to be negative, so it should be negative 14 and plus 3. Makes sense. Now look here. We'll split minus 11x into these two terms, right? So we'll rewrite this as 7x squared minus 14x plus 3x. You see that? Minus 6 equals to 0. Slightly complicated question, right? Now, factor in groups. Perfect. So, in 7x squared minus 14x, 7x is common. You get x minus 2. And here 3 is common and you get x minus 2. Great. X minus 2 is a common factor. Left with 7x plus 3 equals to 0. Apply the principle. Perfect. We get x minus 2 equals to 0 or 7x plus 3 equals to 0. That gives you the solution as x equals to 2. And here we get x equals to minus 3 by 7. Makes sense? So that is how we are going to solve it. So I hope you have understood this process. So let's take up the next question, which is question number 5. We have 121x squared minus 64 equals to 0. How do we factor this? So let me rewrite this question, which is 121x squared minus 64 equals to 0. You will notice that these numbers are perfect squares, right? Each one of them. So I could write this as 11x whole square minus 8 square. Makes sense, right? We have to factor, right? So I could not take 64 to the other side and then do square root. That was not allowed. We have to factor. Now this is difference of squares, and therefore we could write this as 11x plus 8 times 11x minus 8 equals to 0. Equating each to 0, we can get the solution. Difference of square, you remember, a plus b times a minus b is a square minus b square. So that is what we used here, correct? Great. So we are going to now write 11x plus 8 equals to 0, and that gives you x equals to minus 8 by 11. And then we'll equate 11x minus 8 equals to 0, and that gives you x equals to 8 over 11. Makes sense? So we got two solutions again, and they are plus and minus 8 over 11. Perfect. The last question for you, which is 24x squared minus 60 equals to minus 18x. So first step, bring them all together. So we have 24x squared, and then properly write them, right? So I wrote 18x first, right? And then minus 60 equals to 0. Now, do you see any common factor in this? Well, 6 is common, right? So 6 we could factor out first. Put square bracket. 6 times 4, 4x squared. 6 times 3, 3x. Minus 10 equals to 0. Now we are looking again for product of minus 40, correct? So product is equal to minus 40 and the sum is plus 3. So we saw 8 and 5 works, right? But this time 8 is positive. So we get 6, 4x squared. We're going to split 3x as 8x minus 5x. Minus 10 equals to 0. Now group factor. So 4x is common. So we get x plus 2. Minus 5 is common. X plus 2. Perfect. Equals to 0. Let's do the rest on the right hand side. What we get here is x plus 2 is common, right? And we get 4x minus 5 equals to 0. Then x plus 2 should be equal to 0 using the principle. That means x equals to minus 2. Or 4x minus 5 equals to 0 means x equals to 5 divided by 4. Makes sense, right? So with that, we have completed all the 6 questions. So I hope you have understood clearly how do we do all this, right? So we have actually factored them using different strategies. That was very interesting. And then when you multiply two factors to get a 0, each one of them can be 0. That gives us the solutions for this quadratic equation. I hope it makes sense. Feel free to write a comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Also, join our WhatsApp group or send a request on this email, globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Thanks for your valuable time and all the best.